are listening to Three Kitchens, a member of the Alberta Podcast Network. Locally grown, community supported. Join your hosts, Aaron Walker, Heather Dyer, and Sarah Soma Syndrome. What's for dinner?
This episode is brought to you by Park Power, your friendly local utilities provider in Alberta, offering internet, electricity, and natural gas with low rates, awesome service, and profit sharing with local charities.
In Alberta, you get to choose who to buy your internet, electricity, and natural gas from. If you switch providers, nothing changes about the delivery of these utilities to your home or business. If you have an existing contract, you're going to want to find out the terms before leaving. If you don't, then it's even easier to sign up for Park Power.
You as the consumer have the choice of who you pay your bills to. Why not choose your friendly local utilities provider? Learn more at parkpower.ca. Hello, Three Kitchens listeners. Welcome back to another episode. I am here with my two co-hosts, my two dumplings, Heather and Aaron.
So you can tell that I ate that little carton of ice cream all to myself this weekend if you're calling me a dumpling.
I feel a bit dumpling-ish today myself.
Yeah.
It's after the weekend.
Yeah,
and no, I wasn't calling you dumplings because of that. I was just sort of giving you a hint on what this episode was about. But, you know.
It's a term of endearment. It's endearment. It's okay. We don't mind.
It is. And I love dumplings, so it's good to be called a dumpling by me. How's it going, ladies?
Good.
It's all right. It's Monday morning. I'm reserving all comment at this point.
Yeah, we're just waiting to see what will roll out.
Yeah.
Early yet. Yeah.
I just want some sunshine. I need to feel alive again. Okay, so I want to tell you about this new thing I heard about that I think our listeners, at least local ones, will be interested to hear about. There's a new app that is aimed at reducing food waste from grocery stores and restaurants and bakeries. More than 100 stores across Canada have signed up, but Calgary is the first city in Alberta to join. It is called Too Good to Go, and it connects you with local stores that have a surprise bag of surplus food that would have otherwise just gone to the garbage. So like day old kind of stuff.
Not like scrapings off plates in restaurants.
Hopefully not scraping off plates in restaurants. Exactly.
Okay, good.
And it's for a third of the price.
Oh.
So I downloaded this app and checked it out. Places like, I actually think this sounds really good. The Pablo Cheese Tart Company had a surprise bag yesterday. It's a $24 bag for $7.99. Lena's Italian Market had a $12 bag that was for $3.99. Bunch of little coffee shops and bakeries that I'm seeing. I don't know. You called me a dumpling, and this is only going to make it worse.
So how does it work? You go on the app and you pick the thing you want, and then you go there and pick it up, or what? How does
exactly that. So you type in your location, you click on the browse button, and it shows you what is available nearby you.
Right.
And you can pick your favorite retailer or food place, and it will send you notifications. And as soon as you claim it and pay for it, it's yours. You just have to go pick it up.
Oh.
And it's a surprise bag, so they don't write anything about what it might be, like baked goods or nothing like that. No description around it.
Well, you have to guess it's something perishable, right? That it will go bad otherwise.
It'll give you a general idea. So there's the one from Lena's contains bread and pastries.
Oh, okay. I like this.
There was another one. Ooh, here, this one looked different. This one has groceries.
Okay.
So it could be produce.
So it could be produce. Ooh, there's pizza places. Ooh, this one has a meal in it, it says. So I assume maybe leftover pizza.
So interesting.
I think this is a cool idea since food costs are just going higher and higher and higher. How much fun would it just to be, what's that food show where they just give you a few ingredients and you have to make dinner out of it? That Chopped?
Oh, yeah.
Is that what it is?
So.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, they give you a bunch of ingredients and say make dinner. I feel like that'd be kind of a fun challenge. Okay, I'm gonna pick up the grocery bag from the Italian mart and find out what's inside.
Grocery.
Maybe go pick up a few more ingredients that you need at that store. You're supporting local businesses. They're making money instead of throwing stuff out. I don't know. I think it's a great idea for trying to fight food waste. So
it was so funny that you mentioned that, because my son yesterday just said, wow, this garbage can was empty in the morning and it's like overflowing. And we haven't, like, there was no reason for it, just a regular day of cooking and cleaning up. And the amount of garbage that we have every day, right? Yeah, you watch all these cooking shows and documentaries, the amount of food that these big grocery stores throw out.
Yeah.
It's shocking.
I used to work in grocery, and it's definitely a lot of food that just goes into the trash bin. And I think one of the grocery stores I went to, they donated all their day-old bread to like one of the soup kitchens or something in Calgary.
Right.
And they used that, but there was a lot of stuff that they didn't take. And so that just went, as soon as that expiry date hits, see you later.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And there are a lot of hungry people out there.
Yeah. And there's a lot of places that will spoil their food. So instead of throwing it out like in a bag or a container, they'll open all that up so that it goes right into the trash so that people don't go and...
That's not good.
What's it called? Dumpster diving? Is that what it's called? Yeah, dumpster diving. No, that's a great app. That sounds great. I'm glad that Calgary was the first city to sign up. That sounds...
First city in Alberta.
Woohoo!
So
yeah, Calgary.
What's it called again?
Too Good to Go.
Too Good to Go. Okay, cool. I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Support locals, save waste.
And eat well.
Become a dumpling.
Okay. So, speaking of good food, I think we're speaking of good food. I don't know.
And dumplings. Why we're calling each other dumplings? There's a reason.
There is a reason. So, I mean, you guys know that I usually make Chinese and Japanese dumplings. Usually, right? That's what's in my freezer. And recently I went to a Nepalese restaurant called the Himalayan for a friend's birthday. She had picked the place. Apparently, the Himalayan has been there for decades. Oh. And it's funny because my aunt called me after I had sort of posted the pictures of us being there and said, oh, you went to the Himalayan. It's such a great place. And the place was packed. The demographic was amazing. There were a lot of older people there. There were a lot of younger people there. And I was like, oh. And it was funny because when my friend decided Nepalese food, I have been to Nepal and I kind of had an iffy time there with the food because I got really, really sick. Really sick. So I didn't have a very good association with Nepalese food. I'm like, oh, okay. And I remember telling my husband, I'm like, I'm going for Nepalese food. And wow, what a great choice. I'm glad I gave it a second chance because the food there is fantastic and I didn't get sick.
Well, that's a good endorsement.
Yeah. And, one of the ways I guess Nepalese food is described, and I remember being thrown off when I was in Nepal about Nepalese food, is that it's much like Indian food, but it's much milder. And it's almost got a more clovey taste to it.
Okay.
So think of like basically the same ingredients that go into Indian food, but to a different proportion of it. Different ratio.
Okay.
And so it ends up being very mild. And one of the things that I ate at this restaurant was called Momos. And they are Nepalese dumplings. And I think they originally come from Tibet. And if you go to Nepal or know a little bit about Nepalese culture, it's really interesting because it's got that mix of the Chinese and the Indian. And it kind of melds into something. And even the way the people look and the way the people dress, like everything's really cool about that country. It's almost like a meld between both the cultures, right?
Right.
So I thought I was just so in love with these momos. And I know I can't recreate the Himalayan momos, but I had to try it at home because I think even my son's gonna like it because he's not a big Indian food fan, but I think that these flavors are so mild that he might love them. So I went on Google and I looked up Momo recipes, and you know how daunting this can be, right? Because it's the differences from one recipe to another is amazing.
Yeah.
But I tried to remember what I ate. I tried to base it on those flavor profiles. So I came across one recipe, and it's called Sanjana's Momo, and it's from tasty.co. And the filling is like this. It's I'm going to use ground chicken. You can use any meat.
Okay.
So ground chicken, red onion, scallions, cilantro. Don't worry, I'm not putting the cilantro in, Erin.
Can you put it in mine? No, just kidding.
I'm going to put it over on yours.
Okay.
I'm glad I could make this easier for you.
So ground chicken, red onions, scallions, cilantro, garlic, ginger, turmeric, red chili powder, garam masala, which is what is going to make it really mild because there's going to be no curry powder in this. Ghee or butter, olive oil, and that's the filling. Okay. And then I'm going to come back to that website in a second.
Okay.
What I decided to do was then I've decided to make the wrappers. And this wrapper recipe is from gingerskillet.com.
Okie dokie.
And for one portion of wrappers, which make about 32 wrappers apparently, it's 200 grams of all-purpose flour, 100 grams of cornstarch, 90 milliliters of hot water, and 60 milliliters of room temperature water and salt. Okay. The purpose of the hot water is once you put it into the dough in the beginning, it prevents it from getting too stretchy when you roll it out. Something I learned, something new I just learned about why hot water goes into dough. Okay, so we've got the wrappers and we've got the filling. And then now I'm going to go back to tasty.co. And apparently, and I didn't have this at the Himalayan, a lot of people like to eat their momos with something called a jol. I guess it's like this kind of soup dip base that you actually put the momos into. And the one that she had on tasty.co is olive oil, 4 medium tomatoes, Thai chilies, garlic, ginger, turmeric, Szechuan pepper, which I'm really excited to kind of now mix this in, and toasted sesame seeds and cilantro, which again, one of you will get and one of you won't. And then it's just basically a tomato sauce. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that on the side. A lot of people put that into a bowl and put the momos into the bowl it's like a soup dumpling.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put that on the side and then see how you guys like it with your momos. Maybe you will love it, maybe you won't.
So are these steamed or pan fried, or how are they?
Oh, good question.
So there are many different ways of doing this. You can pan fry them, but I'm going to steam them, which is surprising because I usually like pan fried dumplings, but I just enjoyed the steamed dumpling so much. It was so flavorful inside. I feel like pan frying it might be too much. And I think that's not the point of a momo. So for now, I'm going to steam them. And then, down the road, I might pan fry them. Who knows?
Right. Because you want that like starchy, plain flavor of the wrapper to go and complement. Because then the flavor of the insides will just like burst.
Yes, that's exactly it.
So are you going to need a pasta bake to roll out your dumpling dough?
I am going to try to do this without a pasta bake.
Do you want it for backup?
Yeah, maybe. I might regret that and actually message you going, I'm coming over to pick it up. I just want to make it the way that they say for the first time.
Yeah,
and then,
exactly.
Just like the empanadas, like the way you did it, Erin. And then we figured out after that you could actually roll each of those empanadas into a little ball and actually not waste any dough that way, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that was almost better with the pasta bake. So I'm going to say no, but just wait by your phone. for a message.
Be on high alert.
SOS, yes.
I'm going to change your ringtone or something. Beep, beep, beep.
Ah!
It's Sarah.
Help me.
Since you mentioned Momo, I think after you had been to the restaurant and you were talking about this, it came up on my Pinterest feed because that's how these weird technologies work. My phone was listening.
Oh, that beautiful picture that you sent.
So this beautiful picture. But what I noticed, I mean, that wasn't a very artistic food photo. That's not the point.
Mm-hmm.
But the way they're wrapped is different too. The way they're folded, isn't it?
Right. The ones that I had at the Himalayan were folded a lot like gyoza.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to go with that fold for now. But yeah, you can do it like a bao fold or a Taiwanese soup dumpling fold where well, if you've seen what a bao looks like, that's exactly what the fold would be.
Okay.
Because it says it's a 4-inch circular diameter wrapper, and once you cut it, it's going to shrink more.
Did you need some math there? Can I help you with the math?
Shrinkage. Just help me with the shrinkage. It was cold, okay? It was cold. I just don't think it would be easy to get as much filling in if I do it that way.
Yeah.
Let me try the gyoza fold, or you can just go to the store and buy the wrappers. It would be easier.
You still have to fold it. That's my challenge when I've made dumplings.
But now you know different ways of folding dumplings, and there's so many ways, ranging from very easy to wow, that's crazy complicated. So
yeah, well, I'm excited to eat them.
So let's see how this goes. Yeah, this is a different dumpling. Nothing like I've ever tasted.
You can't have too many dumpling recipes.
No.
And it's freezable, so
it checks all the boxes.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
That's what I'm doing. So
I'm gonna get my Momo ready so I can eat all the
for your Momo.
ATB was built to help Alberta businesses. From CEBA applications to lending information, debt consolidation loans, or deferrals.
Whatever your business is facing right now, ATB is here to help with expert advice.
And with today's economy top of mind in business, stay up to date with the Future of podcast. Hosted by ATB's Chief Economist, Todd Hirsch.
To learn more, visit atb.com. We're back. We're back after eating momos. So let's talk about the filling first. So as I said before, ground chicken, red onion, scallions, cilantro I didn't put in, garlic, ginger, turmeric, red chili, garam masala. It says 2 tablespoons of ghee or butter. Of course, I put more. Just go for more. Always go for more. It was better with more. Olive oil and then the dumpling wrappers, right? So for her recipe, which is from tasty.co, Sanjana's Momo, it says that this will yield about 80 small dumplings.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not use store-bought dumplings. So, dumpling wrappers, sorry.
Right. Yeah.
Right, yes.
So what I did with this recipe is I doubled it, okay? And then I went to my wrapper recipe website, which was gingerskillet.com, and I tripled that one.
Oh.
Okay.
Just to be safe.
Yeah.
And I ended up having more filling than I had dumpling wrappers.
Really?
Yeah. I doubled the filling and I had
tripled
more
the wrappers.
filling.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this worked out just fine because if you do have extra Momo filling, we ended up making fried rice with it. So I just threw in some tomatoes.
We're both like,
I'm dreaming of the flavors.
Just threw in the filling, added an egg, and added the rice. You don't need to salt it anymore. You don't need to put any other spices in it because that filling was so flavorful.
Yes.
It'll flavor the rice. So we had Momo fried rice with the extra stuff. So this wrapper recipe, I liked it. I thought it was easy. I think I could have made it slightly thinner, but I liked the texture of whatever happened with after steaming the wrappers.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have been easier with the pasta bake for sure, right? To roll it really thin,
Yeah.
but it would take much, much, much longer.
Yeah.
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 Much longer. So you guys decide what you want to do with this, because you got to make these dumplings. They're so good. And then I made the dumplings, and I made a lot of dumplings, and I've got a big large Ziploc bag full of dumplings in the freezer, tons and tons of dumplings. So we'll be eating momos for days. And then I went to make the sauce. Okay, so with the sauce, 4 medium tomatoes chopped. It said 4 Thai chilies. I had 2 serrano peppers that I put in
Okay.
because I didn't have any Thai chilies. Garlic, ginger, turmeric, and Szechuan peppers, and toasted sesame seeds. So it says to just basically put all of that into a pot and just wait for the tomatoes to soften, 5 to 10 minutes. I changed this slightly.
Okay.
So when you put turmeric into any dish, I feel like it has to cook a little longer because turmeric is bitter, and that bitterness comes down the more you cook it. So what I did was I added a little water to the mixture and I let it boil off a little. Then I tasted it, and because of all those tomatoes, it was slightly too acidic for me.
Okay.
So of course I added ghee, more ghee, and I added a little bit of chicken stock
Okay.
that I had, just to sort of mellow that acidity down. Once everything is simmered and once you like the taste and you salt it to taste and whatnot, you throw it in a blender.
Right.
And you blend it up. And what I did was then I actually put it through a sieve just to take all the chunkiness out.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
That was all I changed with that recipe, and then I served it to you guys.
You've missed something very important.
Yeah. Something super important was not mentioned in the method. Because when I opened my box, you should have heard my whole family came running to see what was in it because I went, oh my God!
So you hadn't...
The color?
I did not look at the pictures that were up on the drive, and Heather was like, oh, they're gorgeous. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go check those out. And then, of course, it walked out of my mind. And then...
Like every night?
Like every, thoughts come in, thoughts walk out. It's a revolving door.
So what did you use to color them?
I just used regular food color, actually.
What?
I did.
That's not what Sarah does.
I usually don't. I usually go for natural food coloring. But just because this is the first time I used this wrapper, I didn't want it to be tougher. I didn't want, because natural food coloring that I use are powders. So I didn't want to take out moisture from this dough.
All right.
Right? I know.
Well, they're beautiful. Blue, purple, or I don't know what you call the colors, but
they're my favorite colors. Look at, she made them the color of my sweater, guys.
There you go.
And then with the bright orange sauce. Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
Oh, it was amazing. What were you did you just choose the colors, or did they have a meaning, or you just went for what you had?
I just cleaned up my pantry a couple of days ago, and I realized I'm like, oh, I have food color. So, and I've got like a box full of food color that I obviously don't use very often, right? Because I use the powders usually. If you guys like natural food color, I think it would totally work with this wrapper.
Okay.
But just because it was my first time, I didn't want to mess with it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, I really don't have much else to say except that this is going to be something that I regularly make and throw into my freezer because they were so different. My whole family was like, what is this? What are we eating? Because they thought it was going to have those East Asian flavors, but very different.
Yeah, I thought they were delicious. And I totally got what you said about it being mild. Like, I wasn't sure what you meant. I knew it wasn't going to be like spicy, but I didn't know what you meant. But I thought mild, what is it going to be? Like, is there going to be flavor? Like, I don't know. I didn't know what to expect, but definitely like a lot of flavor, but I can't really describe it either. But I get what you mean by like a mild flavor. And then with the sauce, there's a bit of a kick from the peppers. And together, fantastic. I love them.
I ate them like a soup.
Yeah.
Like I heated up that sauce. It took forever for the 15 minutes or whatever to pass while I steamed them. It's like the longest. I kept leaving the room and doing things, and I would come back and be like, oh, there's still 5 minutes left. Oh, there's still 2 minutes left. Luckily my family also got bored waiting, and so they left, and so I ate them home to myself.
And left all the momos for you.
Oh,
Nice.
lucky.
They went outside and I was like, excellent. Goodbye.
You missed it. Sorry, you missed it. No dumplings for you. The only thing missing was more dumplings. Like I just wanted more of them.
And you know what I forgot to add into your dumpling box thing that I dropped off was the cilantro leaves. I actually came home and I saw them on my counter and I'm like, I forgot to give Heather her cilantro, which actually it tastes really good with the cilantro.
Yeah.
Unless you're a super taster, then it works. But
I get why cilantro adds the flavor. It's just that there's this extra flavor that it adds to
No,
me.
we get it. We get it.
And
for those of us who
really
love it,
wish I could eat it, because I get, like, tasting it, I was like, oh, I can see cilantro would have been really, really good with this.
Yeah.
For those who like cilantro.
I just can't.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
When you steam them, so Sanjana, she suggests steaming them with cabbage leaves underneath.
Oh, okay.
Which you can do. I didn't because my wooden steamer has a silicone mat on it. If you have a wooden steamer, I promise you that these dumplings will stain them because of the turmeric. And if you don't care about that stuff, then go ahead and use whatever the steamer comes with. But if that bugs you, then use the cabbage leaves underneath, and then it will catch all that turmeric kind of oil that comes out. A turmeric ghee oil that comes out of it.
Yeah, they were so juicy. When I bit it in half so I could look at like the filling inside, and it was like whoop, squirt, it was kind of not ideal to bite it in half, but so juicy that it was like ripping. Yeah.
And I think that the size of it was good.
Yeah, they're like a one bite dumpling. I just wanted to look what the filling looked like. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, was there a flavor in this dumpling that threw you off that I have not mentioned as an ingredient?
I'm kind of wondering.
Is it clove? Or something like clove?
No.
Something in there made me think of my green chicken curry paste that I gave you.
Yes. Okay. Well, I see where you're going with this, but green curry goes with coconut milk, right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Did you find that there was like a coconutty flavor to the dumplings?
Yeah.
A little bit, maybe.
And so all of us were sitting here going, well, how is this happening? So we looked up every ingredient, and apparently ghee can have that effect. And because I had put so much ghee into it, it almost became like a coconutty flavor. My son said, yeah, I like them, but I'm not big on the coconut. And I'm like, there's no coconut in this. I swear.
Oh, interesting.
And it was the ghee. Yeah.
I was way off. I thought it was like there was a spice that I couldn't identify.
Yeah. Maybe it was in the garam masala.
Or it could have been the Szechuan peppers too.
Maybe. I'm not,
that always has a very strange, especially an aftertaste.
There was something in there that I was like, I've tasted this before. So I'm assuming it was the masala, but who knows?
Yeah. Who cares? It's so good. It doesn't matter. Whatever it was.
Definitely a keeper. I'm definitely going back to these recipes.
The texture of the dumpling was really good too. I like that it was a bit chewy.
Yeah, it was.
It's not that
really
soft
that
noodle like a silky kind of dumpling. It has a bit more of a texture, like a bit more of a bite
kind of a cross between that noodle dumpling texture and like a pierogi dumpling, but not as chewy and starchy as a pierogi, right? Like it's kind of on that spectrum.
I liked it.
Oh, how did they compare to the ones that you ate at the restaurant? Because you said there were so many different Momo recipes out there and that they varied greatly. What was the flavoring and texture compared to what you ate when you went out for dinner?
Thank you, Erin, for remembering things that I don't remember this morning. That was a great question. I thought it was very comparable to the flavors of that. I think that the wrapper that they used was much thinner than the one that I used. And there was no sauce on theirs.
Okay, they didn't have a sauce.
on its own, it tasted very similar, except for the texture of the wrapper.
Momo for me, please.
Momo. Yes.
Definitely make some momos.
Momo for show.
Yeah.
And now for the fine print. We at Three Kitchens gratefully acknowledge we are telling these stories in the traditional territories of the Treaty 7 nations in southern Alberta and the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. We honor the rich tradition of oral storytellers on this land who have come before us. You can find pictures and recipe links on Instagram and Facebook at Three Kitchens Podcast. If you like and subscribe on your podcast player, that helps more people find us.
Momos, Mom.